I'm joined with Contactz after a soul-crushing defeat. I'm assuming it was soul-crushing for you too, because I'm here like soul-crushed.
Yeah, it feels bad to feel like you played pretty well today to to losing for sure, especially with how dominant we were in some of the games. Um, yeah, it's definitely just disappointing. I feel like we struggled a lot in our team fight positioning and knowing our roles and the zones to fight in. And I think we kind of just got out mechanicked in that regard.
What happened game two? Like you had an 8,000 gold lead. You were set up for Baron. You had like pink wards everywhere. You kind of just waited around for like 3.5 minutes till drag spawned and didn't like hit the Baron.
Yeah, no, I definitely think we should have hit Baron a lot earlier in the game and forced them to come in. And then once we come in, we have a different angles. Ari will be on a flank. As long as we protect Ezreal in our front to back and get on Kalista, I think the game is in a pretty good spot. So definitely think we dropped the ball in that regard for sure. I think we just kind of did nothing for too long and then waited until the dragon was up. But I think that just comes with kind of a little bit of lack of confidence in the game. But I'd say I'd put that on myself in terms of responsibility. So I should definitely be the one calling to hit Nash earlier. I'll take that one.
All right. Are you feeling better? I know last week you were kind of really not feeling it.
Oh yeah, last week I was dead. I was so cooked last week. It was crazy. I could barely talk. Um, I kind of I just had to lock in for that 30 minutes of the game and then kind of just sleep again all day. It was
Oh
bad,
wow.
but I'm doing good now. I'm doing good now.
All right, that's good. Game What happened between game 2 and 3? Because what I thought, if I was Revan, which I'm not, but I would just be yelling at you guys to like, you have a lead. Why aren't you forcing objectives, forcing them to fight? And then game 3 goes, and you guys start Baron like around 26 minutes or something like that, like super early
Yeah.
on. And like I was like, oh my god, this must be like them remembering what Revan was like. Revan was yelling at them. They're like, oh, I don't want to get yelled at again, so they're starting Baron. But like, what
Yeah.
actually happened between games 2 and 3?
I mean, honestly, we didn't talk too much about the game. We knew that we messed up in terms of the hitting the Nash and then the team fight positioning, but we didn't spend too much time on it. Mostly was focused on game three for what we were gonna draft and figure out what we wanted to prioritize. Um, I definitely do think we were on some pretty uncomfortable drafts in game two and three. So maybe that led to some error in terms of how we play, like our positioning and how we want to fight. So we definitely have to do better in that regard.
I want to ask about the Yone first pick, like the prioritizing Yone over Varus. You guys like threw out like the safety ban, like you banned out the Akali and the Aurora, I think, like in 1, 2, 3, and
Yep.
then I'm assuming you guys expected the Mbeza.
Um, we knew that they could pick it for sure, but I wouldn't say that we totally expected it. We just know that Palafox is a very strong young player, and he felt very confident in progressing in the game, and I thought that I would have a jungler that would pair well with it. So I think it's just something that you know I wouldn't. I mean, Yon is his bread and butter, so something that we felt very confident.
Okay, because I was gonna ask because like the Mbeza looked really good into the Yone.
Yeah, it's a pretty strong matchup. The lane is very hard for Yon's side.
Okay, and then after the Baron in game 3, I don't know if I missed it or if like we were in a replay or something, but somehow we got Baron, we got Abessa TP, and we killed Mbessa to we're hitting Otacon. Like, what happened?
Yeah,
I don't know
we,
if you remember. It was
we
a long game, but
we should never hit Otacon on that timer. We should just play to push out our waves, control the river, dragons up in 35 seconds, 40 seconds, and we just want to draw them into us. We never want to take a fight around Otacon 5v5 with a debuff. It's too hard and they can take too much space since we're funneled into one zone. And we don't even have crazy damage on it. Um, but yeah, that was an error on our part for sure.
okay. At first, I thought maybe they were hitting it and you guys had to respond, but it seemed like you guys were actually the ones that started it, so I was a little confused.
Yeah, no, we
Um,
were we were the ones that hit first. But we should never hit Otacon in that scenario. It's the only way that they're gonna get a very good Otacon or fight position because we're giving a lot of space because we're funneled into it. So it's okay.
yeah. besides these games, obviously, like you should have won games 2 and 3, you didn't, and like that says more about certain like things that you need to clean up rather than, oh, Dignitas are just unbeatable. Um
Yep.
Palafox gave an interview where he talked about like the top teams aren't unbeatable. He feels like in general most teams are pretty close to each other. And I think he even said like if everybody's not sick, because you guys have been getting sick a lot, but if everyone's not sick, there's like a 40% chance you guys make it to the top three to split. Uh, just overall, like between scrims and improvement, because I have felt that you guys week over week have improved in a lot of different aspects. We even saw it today in game one, and like early games of games two and three. Uh, where would you like position yourself in terms of like the
Um,
the grand
I mean, I
scheme of
definitely
things?
think we're in the middle right now, but that's not to say that um the top teams are unbeatable. I think every team is very beatable. I think the best team in the league right now is definitely C9. Um, C9 plays very fast and very aggressive, and they have just really insane tempo on the game. Um, but that's not to say that we can't compete with anyone in the league. Um, I definitely do think that um, if we clean up our mid to late decision making, I think that like we'll be in a pretty good spot to contest with the top teams. I think what they do best is just they're very consistent in their game plans, and they have like a flow and a formula on how they want to play out the map, and that doesn't generally waver a lot. And that's something that we lack as five. Is that like consistency to replicate the same scenario over and over again in terms of like how we play side lane, how we play vision. Um, the top teams are a lot more stable and consistent in that regard.
How do you develop that formula of like, okay, it's mid to late game. How do we like push our advantage, get our vision, and push our side waves? Is that do you like watch a specific team that's really good at it and try to emulate them? Do you like figure out your own thing? Like, how do you go about that?
It varies between comp and comp, but generally, um, there's gonna be timers where like you can go through side and get vision. There can be times where you go through mid, depending on what the team comp looks like. Just identifying in the moment how we're gonna play through a certain wave, or how we're gonna transfer pressure from mid to bot or side to bot. Just stuff like that. I think just overall, just starting a lot more conversation flow on what our roles are. I think it'll kind of blend in naturally.
Okay, it also seems like one of those things that needs a lot of reps on every comp, which probably takes a lot of time.
Yeah, yeah, because there's gonna be instances where like I feel specifically we lack a lot of structure in terms of how we set up our zone for dragon contests. What does mid want to do here? What does top want to do here? Are we holding the line bush? Are we holding banana bush? Just stuff like that. Just like the very minute details of like knowing our specific roles in the fight and who we're focusing, stuff like that. I think we just need to keep ironing those out.
All right. My last question to you is quite selfish. I've been playing on a team, like an amateur team, and as a jungler as well. So I've been getting yelled at a lot by
Oh
my coach, which to be expected. I'm like Emerald, but do you have any
yeah.
like tips or something on like just generally jungling in a competitive environment?
I will say the biggest thing that has made me a stronger player was learning how to say no. Just have your eyes on the big picture of having yourself in a good spot and good condition and being efficient throughout the game. And if you do something to break that efficiency, unless it's like very dire, if it's a very dire situation, just learn how to say no.
All right, I'll say no more to my coach then, and I'll say
Make
contracts
sure
told me
you're
to
in a
do
good
it.
spot. Yep, make sure you're in a good spot. Jungle
All
is the
right.
most broken role in the game, so.
All right, man. Thanks for the interview as always, and good luck. Hopefully we can 2-0 100 Thieves. And oh, I asked Quid, how come Shopify has never beat you guys in a game? And he said Shopify are relatively weak early game, and we're really good in the late game. So if they can't get early games on us, they can't beat us. So I was like, I'm gonna tell Contracts that like get an early game against 100, and he
Yeah,
laughed.
we'll have to watch our early games from this past weekend. Hopefully, I can replicate that versus them. We
All
meet
right,
River
man.
Banter a lot, so he said he's gonna beat me, but um, I'm not too sure about that. I'm not too sure on the early game at least.
All right. Good luck, man. I is this what it feels like to be an Immortals fan? I don't know. I'm so done. I'm so sad, man. Oh man. I mean, thanks to Contractz, he always comes. I always do interviews with Contractz after like a really rough loss where we had a huge lead, and ah, we're gonna beat 100 Thieves. I gave him. I did my part. All right. I interviewed the enemy. I figured out their strategies. I figured out the weak points, and I conveyed that to my team. So, I did my part. But God, hopefully we don't throw 8K gold leads. It's a good thing that we're getting there. You know, just don't throw. Step 2. We worked on step 1. We got the early games. My God. Being a fan of a team is rough, man. Especially when that team is named Shopify in the past 2 years. Whew.